TORC, the off-road championship, has spent the summer at the wide-open, natural terrain road courses of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan with plenty of room to air it out, pin the throttle, and let the ponies fly. But tonight, that's all about to change. Tonight, we trap 900 horsepower beasts inside a bull ring and let them have at it. Tight quarters and big trucks never mix without someone leaving here angry. This 21-year-old blonde monster named CJ Greaves has everyone running scared, both in Pro 2-wheel drive and in Pro 4. But tonight, without anywhere else to go, they might just run straight into him. How many of these guys have decided 8 wins in a row is quite enough? In the Pro Light division, the young hard chargers can't stay off each other when they have 2 miles to spread it out. What happens tonight when they're bound up inside this clay arena? When the sun goes down, the lights come on, and we go off-road racing. TORC, the off-road championship from the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway, is about to fire up. We're done with those long, winding fast tracks. Let's bring on the tight stuff, the bull rings, some contact. That's exactly what you're going to see here. The Showdown in Charlotte, part of TORC, the off-road championship presented by AMSOIL. Hello everyone, welcome to Charlotte. I'm Robbie Floyd. This is the 3-time TORC Series champ and also 3-time winner here in Charlotte, Ricky Johnson. And RJ, it's all about the bull rings. Tight, you've done it before. You know there's contact in these tight confines.
Well, we just come from Crandon and Bark River where it's like 100 miles an hour they get rolling. And also there's a lot of room for them to stay away from each other. Here in Charlotte, it's a lot like arena cross where you have to expect bumping and banging. We got 3 180 turns where they almost come down to 0 to change direction and get back off. So expect contact.
One thing to look for, I think, will be that rhythm section, the whoop section. I think that'll be very pivotal, is finding that rhythm. You think a little differently?
Well, I think that's a key point. If you can get on top of that, you can make up a second, or if you get off rhythm, you can lose a second or 2. But I think what a lot of people are overlooking is the big sweeper. If you can run it like a sprint car driver, run that cushion, get a big run down that back straightaway, that's going to set up your pass.
And set up those passes. That's what we're looking for in a guy who's passed more than anyone. He's led more than anyone. He's won more than anyone. That's CJ Greaves, the series points leader in 2s and 4s. And Kate Osborne's caught up with him.
Yeah, he's 8 in a row. Now, CJ, we are going back to the short tracks, which you struggled with here at the beginning of the year. What are you going to do differently here tonight?
You know, we just got our truck figured out. We had some bugs in it at the beginning of the year, a little bit of a rough start, but I think we got our truck where it needs to be, and the track is difficult tonight. So we'll just keep the consistency, do what I do best, and run solid lines all night.
You just mentioned the track's going to be difficult tonight. One thing that we've noticed about you is you're physically getting yourself more and more in shape, and that's awesome. How is that going to play to your advantage here tonight?
You know, I mean, being here in the humidity, and it's been sweating all day, so it's hot in there, and we'll just hopefully not get tired. I don't know if any of them other guys do, but I know I don't. So that lets me drive to the best of my ability the whole race, and hopefully we can come out on top.
All right, we'll see how you do tonight. CJ Greaves.
The Arturo Tires Pro Light, they will kick things off this 18-lap feature. Starting up front, Kyle Kleiman, Casey Curry. Good to see Casey Curry. He's the original winner, the very first winner here at the dirt track way back when, 2011?
Exactly. Then we got Cam Reimers. I'm sorry, I always mispronounce that. And Travis Dinsmore. Travis is normally really fast on the big tracks, but he's been going faster and faster on these bull rings. Yeah,
I like him on the tight tracks too, as well as Kyle Hart. He was almost unstoppable the start of this year. Now we're back on these, almost half-mile ovals. Look for Sean Morris coming off a victory too not too long ago. Luke Johnson, LJ14, had a horrible Bark River. Get it out of your mouth. That's a bad taste you don't want to have. He's trying to turn things around, as well as Andrew Carlson, a winner this year as well at ERX in Minnesota. Bobby Runyon, he's getting faster and faster now, a new Pro Power motor in there, and I think he's got things sorted around for him. Here we go. It is an 18-lap final. Who wants it the most? The other thing is, at the halfway point, after 9 laps, we will re-rack them, restack them with a competition caution. Here we go, waiting for green. Green means go. And now they take off. The whole shot goes to Casey Curry, but he opened up a lot of that inside. Nobody really there to take advantage.
Casey with a great jump right there, and Kyle Kleiman, number 42, jumping right in second, and we see Travis Dinsmore pulling up in third. So let's get through this first right-hander, see what happens. We see Kleiman looking, Kleiman looking to the inside, but Casey Curry holds on to it.
And there you see that truck going back and forth, and everybody closes in. But, man, a lot of bucking, and we're already losing fiberglass.
Exactly. We see some fiberglass coming back and forth, and we see Dinsmore shooting to the inside with a pass, moving into second place.
Nice move. No contact there. He just ran faster on a tighter line.
At this point, there was a little bit of rain, so some of the insides are a little bit slippery, but it's been Dinsmore who's been able to find traction and work his way up into second.
Travis Dinsmore on the Sleeko entry. Look for him, number 43, as he's moved his way up, and we're hearing there's a yellow flag. Somebody somewhere somehow has caused a problem, so a caution comes out. It looked like Dinsmore didn't get the word until after Curry, but good thing, good paying attention there by Dinsmore. Shot to that inside. So Jesse Johnson, unfortunately, the local boy, is on his lid. They're going to turn him over. He can still restart and get back in this pro-like class. We just started this. We have a ton of racing still to come. Stick with us. So as you see the pro lights lined up here, this is the original starting order, but since we had that first start, they don't start side by side. They're going to start nose to tail. So you notice Dinsmore back in third now. He may have moved up to second. Well, he has to drop back to third because that's the way they started, back when he was on that second row.
Right, I saw no penalties, so it looks like Jesse Johnson went over all on his own, so he has to start all the way in the back. A tough way to start your career back in racing.
But there's still plenty of time to turn things around. It's an 18-lap race. We've only completed one of them. Casey Curry's out in front just like he started the first start. Now look and find your favorite driver. Up at the top of the screen, see how he works up through the pack. Who is the favorite? Kyle Hart should be a favorite, and right now I don't see him in those top four. He's barely in the top five.
Well, Casey loves these style of tracks. He was very fast when he raced the TORC Championship back in the past. He looks like he's struggling a little bit in the whoops, but he loves these flat track style turns. Here we see Kleiman looking to the inside, but Casey working on going faster and faster down the straightaways.
The number 2 entry coming from California. He was in North Carolina for Jeep Jamboree. He was in the area, had all the equipment. I think that is excellent planning on his part.
Curry Engineering does all kinds of stuff for the Jeepers and off-roaders and short course racers. They build rear ends, they build all kinds of stuff. And so the whole family is very much a strong, enthusiastic. In fact, if you look, that is a Jeep style body that he's got out there.
All right, Kyle Kleiman back there in second. He's a 3-time winner. He won in Chicago, and he won both Bark Rivers with a victory. So, I mean, he's been one of the fastest guys in 2016.
Been very, very fast. He seems to have a little bit of trouble getting off rhythm right there, but his line selection is very good as he makes a clean pass on Casey Curry, but Casey's got the inside coming up to that next left-hander.
We'll see if Kleiman can go around that outside. He's going to try and drive around. That Monster Energy number 2 says no, but here comes Kleiman, and he's got a strong motor. We've seen it all year.
Yep, he's been strong. He's banging, bumping back and forth, and Kleiman on the outside very clean. Casey put up a little resistance, but strong move by Kyle Kleiman, number 42.
Let's send it down to Ken Osborne.
Well, this is an interesting development that Kyle Kleiman is so fast here. Just yesterday, he actually didn't have a working engine, so they changed the motor overnight. But the story behind that motor is that it was actually Luke Johnson's. Ricky, did you know that one? They actually did a good exchange for it here in this spec class. They're able to do that. And Kyle Kleiman is out racing right now with one of Luke Johnson's motors.
So what are you talking about? Is it one of the fresh ones that Luke was supposed to be driving?
Well, actually, no. What happened is Billy Sleeper from Pro Power does both motors for Kleiman and for Luke Johnson. And so what happened was when Luke had his big crash in Bark River, Kleiman gave him a spindle, gave him some parts to help get him on the track. So when it came down to it, he said, hey, can we use that motor? And so they are. So they made a deal with it. And so he's going to fix his and then go.
What the heck is wrong with Travis Dinsmore? Sean Morris just drove around the outside of him. You've got Kyle Hart on the inside of him. Is he having problems, or is the setup just not quite right? It doesn't look like the typical Travis Dinsmore.
Well, Dinsmore's normally been, as we said, really strong when it comes to the short big tracks, but not as strong on the little tracks. So right now we see Kyle Hart looking to the inside, but Dinsmore not getting through the whoops quite as good as the other guys.
And there's 5th and 6th right there. Kyle Hart, who sits in front of him in the championship points. And Kyle, at the start of the year, could have just worked through any of these guys in 2 or 3 laps, but that's not the case anymore. Carlson just behind him. Andrew Carlson, the 151, already a winner at Elk River at the home track. He's in Where is he at? About 7th in championship points right now.
Yeah, but Andrew's been coming on faster and faster. Obviously won at Elk River, a lot of confidence there. And he works with Keith Stamper and Ray Stamper. They do a lot of, Keith's been building trucks for everybody for quite a long time. So they got that truck working really well. He struggled a little bit in practice, but much, much faster here in the race.
Just the consistency with Carlson is where it's better. He'd have a win, then followed up with a 10th and another 10th, and you just cannot win a championship. On the other hand, Kyle Hart has been pretty darn strong. He had one takeout where somebody took him out at one race. Other than that, I mean, he's been constantly in the top 2 or 3.
And the guy that bumped him and took him out of that race is right in front of him. So sometimes racing gets close. Here comes Bobby Runyon on the outside. These guys have had a race back and forth. Luke Johnson holding the inside, working his way back out. But Bobby Runyon running very, very strong tonight, and now looking to the inside.
He's figured things out. Both of these guys back in Park River had problems with their trucks, having to borrow parts, especially on the front end spindle-wise. And now they have things kind of sorted back the way they should.
Exactly. And Bobby's run a lot of stock cars, done a lot of stuff, so this oval stuff is no surprise to him, and he's been getting faster and faster each week. The guy's a CrossFit guy, does so many different things, but it's great to see him out there racing. But Kate, you got something on Luke?
Yeah, Luke was telling me earlier that this has been a really confusing year for him. He said last year it was really all about getting comfortable, and it looks like Travis Dinsmore is moving to the back right now. But just to finish up real quick, it says that, Luke says this is confusing, and he says he's really just trying to stay positive. Ricky, what advice have you been giving him?
Well, I'm going to get back to that in just a second, but we had a huge thing coming. Travis Dinsmore and Kyle Hart both getting into each other. Now, Kyle Hart losing his right rear tire, so a lot of contact going on there between those two drivers. And now
this is your championship points leader, too.
Exactly. The championship points leader has now got a flat, and we are nowhere. Actually, we're very close. We're lap 9, so the good luck is falling on his side again. We will be going to competition yellow next time by.
So that's fortunate for him. Unfortunately for him, this is what's happening, and he has to get that truck turned around, and they're not going to take much of an in-between time, too, so he may or may not make it back. He can't even hold that thing onto the track. And here we go, coming to the caution. Who's going to be the leader in the second half of this race? It looks like it's going to be the 42 of Kyle Kleiman. Casey Curry just behind him, but we're halfway through this race. We still have another half of the Enduro Tire Pro Lights still to come. Stick with us. So as the Enduro Tire Pro Lights line up on the back stretch, getting ready for the second half of this race, Kyle Kleiman looking for another victory, but Mr. Curry has a little something to say. He's a winner back here in 2011, which I find remarkable, and he's back at it again.
Well, it's not like he's been sitting on idle. He's been running the West Coast season, the series and stuff like that. So Casey is definitely somebody who's going to go for the win, but Kyle Kleiman has been very, very strong. As we talked about, Andrew Carlson and Sean Morris are right there in the mix, as well as Bobby Runyon and Luke Johnson.
All right, look for the green flag. It's time to go for Kyle Kleiman. 9 laps down, 9 more still remain. You talk about Casey Curry racing out on the West Coast, but his best finish this year is a 4th place. Right now, he's currently in 2nd. Here comes Sean Morris, the Kenda tire, number 27 on the inside, trying to get to grip. And that's something with these trucks we haven't talked about. These are stock tires, DOT tires, tires that you can buy off the showroom floor.
Yeah, when we watch the Pro 2s and the Pro 4s, they have what they call a project tire, much thicker, much heavier, and you can side load them. If you do that in a Pro Light, you will rip the casing because it is a street DOT tire, and it's not quite as strong, but very, very tough. The beating that these guys put on them, it's amazing.
Oh, too much into the back end of Curry, spins him around. Carlson gets stuck. He has nowhere to go.
Very tough move, and we're probably going to see something come out because that was a pretty hard hit by Sean Morris and straight behind. I don't think it was intentional. They were in the air, but we see Casey Curry sitting on the sidelines.
That's the most I've seen anybody catch up with someone in the air like that and straight in line too. Was Curry already getting on the race?
Well, yeah,
we've got a full course yellow, it looks like, as Luke Johnson has worked his way up through the field as well. So a full course yellow will try and get you that answer of what kind of penalty may be or may not happen here in just a bit. Let's take a look at what happened here. The 42 is out in front, and Sean Morrison, the 27, gets in to Casey Curry and brings him around. Carlson gets stuck. Luke Johnson goes the inside. Jesse Johnson goes the inside. Unfortunately for Carlson, that's going to cost him and move him back through the field.
A tough blow. I mean, he felt good. His truck was going good. But so it's going to be exciting. I hate it for him, but it's going to be exciting to watch him work his way back to the front because he was quick in the first half of the race.
The 43 is also going to have to serve a penalty. We saw him maybe get into the side of Kyle Hart, so he's going to have to move to the back as well.
Well, now you have those two guys that have bumped into each other, two separate instances starting in the last. So the two of the fastest guys starting in the back, so it should be quite exciting.
Kyle Kleiman takes the lead. Luke Johnson's up to second. It's been a while he's won a short oval like this, or he's fast. What, Chicago last year. He's fast on ovals, but this has not been his season compared to last year. But look at Jesse Johnson, a guy who rolled in that first lap, is back in it in third, and he's charging hard.
Jesse looking up the inside, trying to get a run on it, but you can see that both guys swapping side to side, but Jesse's got a good run on the inside.
Whoa,
gets a
he
little bit
shut it
sideways.
down? I'm very surprised he can shut it down. Speaking of that, Bobby Runyon is shut it.
AKA Robbie Bunyan.
Robbie Bunyan is flying and going around the outside of Jesse Johnson. If Jesse gives him that lane, and he takes every bit of that lane, but he still goes for more.
He's racing with the fear right now. You can see he's got me on board. He's running strong, so these two guys going head to head.
Did you
Great
see
race for fourth.
Jesse crossed over in the air. I thought he was going to get into the back business of Bobby Runyon there, but it didn't happen. Great racing, and this isn't even for the lead. Let's go down to Kate Osborne.
Well, one thing is for sure, Jesse Johnson is out to perform. He said that this race, he just wants to finish. He wants to finish hard. He's doing it not only for his sponsors, but for himself and for his family. This is something that's been a long season to get back in a truck, and it would mean so much to him to get on the podium.
And the Geldwin truck on the inside here trying to hold on. Oh, it's Casey Curry that's now moving in on Carlson. And Casey Curry in the number 2. He's got things dialed in, but what happened? He was up front. Now he's dropped back. He's coming back to the front again.
Well, both him and Carlson, as I said, it'll be exciting watching these two because they were really fast at the beginning, and Carlson got screwed when it comes to how racing goes. But he stopped to keep from hitting Casey. Now he's working his way back up to the front. So we have a lot of racing to go.
Oh, my. And a lot of banging. We're going to lose all our fiberglass for this race is over. Kyle Kleiman's leading. He's in the yellow truck, number 42. In second, Luke Johnson, LJ14. They're swapping as Cam Reimer's off the track back there in the back. But there's your leader right now, Kyle Kleiman and Luke Johnson, that Red Bull entry. The multi-cam Spider Lights truck's fast, and without question the fastest we've seen Bobby Runyon this year.
Yeah, Bobby running really fast and running two different lines, and right now it's working out to Bobby's advantage. Oh, we see him get into each other. Bobby had the run on the outside. Luke sort of pushed him off a little bit. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I don't know if he knew he was there quite that much.
Right, but Luke taking more of the shorter line watch. He comes down here, brakes hard, goes to the inside, and gets a good clean run where Bobby runs around the outside, but sometimes it pays off for Bobby, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, Bobby got him to a little bit, got it loose, and the whole crowd goes right by Luke Johnson.
Just shoots by, and there's Jesse Johnson, too, on the outside of Bobby Runyon. Thor in the number 9 is now up into second, and at the rate he's going, he might be in the lead before this one's over with. 5 more laps to go. They're about to take the flag stand one more time after this left.
Yep. Here we go.
Curry's closed in, too. Look at Curry now. The number 2, who was in 5th that last time around, he's in 4th.
Yeah, Bobby running very strong, running the high line, and that inside line bit Luke Johnson pretty bad, but Casey Curry running very strong. But I'm so impressed with Jesse Johnson right now. They call him Jesse River Johnson.
Oh, he's got it here.
He looks to the inside.
Done. Oh. Bobby tried close in, and that's going to help Curry. Curry's going to pass 2 people in 1 turn.
We got a right-hander, so there's a lot more coming up. So these guys are all going to be bumping and banging as they go through this right-hander. But Andrew Carlson pulled off, so something happened to Andrew, worked his way all the way from the back, all the way back.
And a penalty for Carlson because evidently he made contact with Luke Johnson, spun him, so they give him a penalty. Look at Bobby running again, not backing down, and Curry's ready to take advantage if either one of these guys make a mistake. Oh, man, Runyon looks so fast on that straightaway. He's hooked up.
Yeah, Bobby's running that cushion really well, and right now he's getting into Jesse a little bit hard. You got to watch out because you take somebody out there, and now that opens the door for Casey Curry.
It cost him. He got into it, slowed himself down, and Curry took advantage. I love being in a different place. Like you said, you're not going to pass following the leader.
Exactly. My dad used to scream that at me when I was a little kid, and it's true. If it's true, you follow somebody, you can't pass them.
You know, this race kind of reminds me of Elk River when you saw who was it? Sean Morris was out in front, oblivious to all that stuff that was going on behind him. That's what's happening with Kyle Kleiman right now out in front.
Yeah, Kyle's out in front running a clean race, but these guys all have momentum and adrenaline on their side. But when you're out in front, you're listening for gremlins, you're trying not to make mistakes, and right now Jesse Johnson would love nothing more than to come out basically out of retirement and come out and win. So obviously his brother has done a great job smoking everybody across the street, and Jarrett's done a great job in Pro 2 as well. So good to see the Johnson family out there.
Oh, and hitting that berm, actually making a berm now in the left-hander as they're coming in front of us. Camera, 2 laps to go, about a lap and a half left. Oh, Kleiman gets crazy sideways, and that's going to enable Johnson to close in even more.
Yeah, Johnson now looking on the inside. Oh, makes it close.
What a run. What a run. Look at it. Hey, we're going to get the white flag next time around.
Right now, Jesse looks like he's falling. Here comes Casey Curry looking. Gets a little bit of run on him, but now white flag, 1 more to go. If Kleiman makes a mistake, Jesse Johnson is right there to capitalize.
And Bobby Runyon crossed over a little bit. That's going to cost him. He's trying to get on that podium for the first time in his career. But look at this race. Will Jesse Johnson do it? I'm pulling for the guy. I mean, he's a part-timer, but I mean, he wants to be in a TORC truck so bad, and he finally gets his opportunity, and he's taking advantage.
And right now, this is where you talked about these whoops. These things have bitten Kleiman a couple times. He's swapping a little more patient. Jesse trying really hard, looking to the inside, but it's Kleiman. If he just opens this up and he drives his own line, I don't think anyone can touch him.
Jesse could have upset that truck a little bit right there, and he chose not to do it, too. You notice that?
Yeah, he just doesn't. You don't want to plow the guy to take him out, but Jesse running a great race. Same thing with Kyle Kleiman, number 42. Good job.
And looks like 3 wins is now going to be 4 wins on the season for Kyle Kleiman. Second place is going to go to Jesse Johnson, Casey Curry in third, and Bobby Runyon, his best finish in fourth.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, is brought to you by AMSOIL, devoted to protection. Maxxis Tires, we know dirt. And by Cooper Tires. We make tires for people, not just cars.
What a race here at the dirt track at Charlotte. Kyle Kleiman takes his 4th victory of the season, but this is his 3rd in a row. He gets the TORC turkey, and Ponzi is on top once again.
Kyle Kleiman, you are a completely different driver than we saw last year. You are 4 wins strong here this season already. Now, this is a track that mistakes are really easy to make here. And there was a lot going on behind you that whole race. How did you stay composed as a driver and hold your position?
Honestly, my spotter doesn't let me know what's going on behind me because I don't need to. But, you know, consistency is what I've been working on all throughout this whole season. And I couldn't do it without this crew. I mean, we blew up a motor in practice yesterday, and we had to throw another one in, and we only got to qualify on it. So, I mean, Pro Power, they make such an awesome motor. Ponzi, Cooper Tires, and these STT Pros are just hooking up like no other. I got to thank my family and my crew, my girlfriend, everybody. Thank you so much.
Another victory for Kyle Kleiman here at the dirt track.
So a strong night for him, but also just look how it just changed. I mean, names you just don't expect. You know, Jesse Johnson into second, and what a comeback from him. Casey Curry, I expected him to be there. He was fast in practice. Unfortunately for him, he had that one little incident. Bobby Runyon inside the top 5. Travis Dinsmore in 5th. But Kyle Hart, the series points leader, back in 7th. Let's go down to Kate Osborne with a very happy Mr. Jesse Johnson. Look at that smile.
It is a big smile, and he just said he is just so stoked to be on the box. You were telling me earlier that this is your home track. This is so important to you because your sponsors are here, your family's here. You've been working so hard to get here, and now you are. Put this moment into words.
I can't describe it. It's crazy. My brother and my crew guys worked their butts off getting this truck ready for me, and I can't thank them enough for this. It's so stoked to be here at my home track and on the box. We rolled on the first lap and fought our way all the way back up to second. I can't believe we're on the box. It's awesome. I'm so stoked right now.
All right, big smiles all around for the Johnson crew. It is a victory in and of itself.
Okay, the Honda cars of Rockville entry looking forward to the next round here at Charlotte, I'm quite sure. In the points, and not much of a loss from Kyle Hart. He still has a 24-point advantage over Dinsmore. Kyle Kleiman has now worked his way up into 3rd. Reimer's 4th. Luke Johnson back in 5th. Sean Morris not having the night he was looking for. And he was one of the top 3 drivers there for a while. Looks like he's in 6th. Bobby Runyon, his best finish, up into 7th. Let's go down to Kate Osborne, who's with Casey Curry.
Yeah, Casey Curry had the fastest lap of that race. First, congratulations. Good to see you here with TORC. That was not an easy race whatsoever for you. Talk about the race as a whole and how you ended up here in 3rd.
Yeah, you know, it started good. I started up front, and dude, the 42 got me, and dude, he was running a good pace, and I was just playing with him, learning his lines and trying to get better. And we had a restart, and dude, I got T-boned by some redhead, and it spun me out backwards. I got to go to the back, and we started all over again. And this time we just went for blood. And, we came back and probably one more lap, and I could have got the guys in front of me. But, we'll take third. And I'm stoked to be here in Charlotte with all these fans, and I'm excited to be with TORC. So it's good. So we'll come back tomorrow.
There you have it. Casey Curry, third here in Pro Light.
Some redhead.
Who is it? Sean Morris. Sean Morris, I think that's who he's talking about. Hey, mistakes happen. Hey, things happen here. We're getting ready for the Pro 2-wheel drive coming up next. Same track, different truck. And the fastest guy has been this little blonde monster. Who is CJ Greaves?
CJ Greaves, is really a meticulous driver. He really thinks things out, and he's very mature. You'd think that his father, being much older and much more experienced, would be, but I almost think CJ is more mature in the group.
He's quick, and you really got to watch out for him, and it's going to take him having an issue for me to catch him.
He's the calculated, perfect driver. I just love going fast. I want to air out jumps. I want to blast the turn harder than the next guy.
We respect each other, and that makes for good racing. We know how each other's what we're gonna do. We're gonna drive each other clean and hard, and we're going for the win every time. So a lot of respect for each other.
And he has great throttle control and response, and he adapts to tracks really well. Fantastic driver. It's a pleasure driving with him.
There's one thing that kid does good is read terrain, find lines. He can drive a truck and look slow and be super fast. He'll find the smooth line, the tippy toe line, I'm like, that ain't no fun, but he's definitely more calculated than I am, without a doubt.
Calculated, maybe. I know I can add up ones, and that man knows how to win races. CJ Greaves, the Pro 2 drivers are coming up here in just a bit at Charlotte. We're at the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Coming up, the Pro 2-wheel drive. Up next, the Pro 2-wheel drives here at TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL. Leading the field, you see the 47 Maxxis entry of Mike Jenkins, Ari Leindyke Jr. on his outside.
Then you got Brad Lovell in row 2, and also Ronnie Van Epperen. Very, very fast and very aggressive today.
Yes, he has been fast, and a guy who came from the buggy. CJ Greaves, the series points leader, 24-point advantage over Keegan Kincaid. And look at that, Kyle Hart on the back. He's back again in the Pro 2s.
Kyle Hart was unbelievable his first time on a track very similar to this in Texas. So watch for these guys to work their way up. Ari Leindyke with a great start on the outside, but Mike Jenkins looking on the inside. But really, there's no cushion at this point, so there's nothing really to hold on to.
Well, he's going a long way around. When I say he, that is Ari Leindyke Jr., but he's able to go down and shut it down. I thought he was just going too wide. He was going to get past.
And now we see CJ looking at the inside of Brad Lovell. He comes in, little door, gets a little bit hit by Van Epperen, but great pass by CJ Greaves, working his way up into third.
CJ Greaves pretty much had to take that inside with that much room.
Well, you want to be aggressive to get away, and we see that he's made quite a few passes here. We see Brad Lovell making another look on the inside, but that puts CJ on the inside for this left-hander coming onto the front stretch.
Defending champion CJ Greaves back there in third. The 33, Rodney Van Epperen, he's pushing. He's got a plow. Looks like, yeah, he is not liking things right now. I think he was trying to get a little too aggressive. He didn't like the bumping and banging. He just kind of picked the wrong place to get aggressive.
Well, I think that those two guys pushed their way back by him, and so now he's trying to retaliate, but it backfired on him, and he went into the tire and spun around. But right now, Ari Leindyke Jr., who has had terrible luck this year right now, is on a tear, so looking great out front of that Gunkmobile.
Yeah, Ari just trying to finish races this year. I don't know what's been going on. I mean, he even hit at the craziest, goofiest thing, fittings, brake, like $1.50 items, things like that. And there he goes to the inside. CJ Greaves, the number 33. Look at him putting the pressure on. And Mike Jenkins back there in third. I saw him trying to get aggressive. He dropped back, but he didn't like third at all.
But I love how patient CJ is being right now. He knows where Keegan is, and he's looking and being once again, I'm being redundant here, we're being very patient. When you heard Johnny Greaves, his father, talk about it, we saw Mike Jenkins come in and take a big shot at it, and he missed him, but now Keegan comes to the inside now. 1 and 2 in points, is now second and third on the track.
Oh, man, there's got to be some grip underneath, right? Surely, maybe, possibly. Nope, not near as much as the outside. The Gunkmobile just drove around the outside.
Exactly, and I love that the track is coming in this way. Sometimes that inside line becomes so predominant, but now it's polishing off, and the cushion is the way. I love it when the fast way around the track is the outside, and Ari Leindijk is running a very, very strong line.
I like it when it's the outside because it opens up that inside for a possible pass if you can get that grip or take the line. Right now, CJ's underneath and he's biding his time. You're right. He's not aggressive, knocking his way into the lead.
Right, but I think you're going to see him get a little bit more aggressive right now because he's got Keegan Kincaid coming right up on his bumper in third place. So I don't think he's going to be as patient, but let's see if he uses the same line. Ari using the cushion, CJ looking down low,
higher.
And Keegan back up in the cushion.
But look how much higher. Look how much higher CJ is. He knew that bottom line wasn't going to work, and Keegan would probably get by him.
Right, but now you got to see, now he's going to shoot to the inside, use the rear to stop, turn around, but now Ari with a great line, and it puts him on the inside. So if he holds his position, Keegan coming in 3 wide.
And look at Kincaid, he goes to the inside. He's going to be at almost a standstill. CJ's trying to get drive, Ari's trying to get drive, CJ takes over position. Now Ari moves to second, and Kincaid's losing panels.
And let's see if CJ goes to that cushion. It's been faster. Look, he runs around the outside, and now see if he runs the cushion and turns 1 and 2. I'll bet you he does.
Yep, he's going to stay high. I think he learned that. That one time he went low and there was nothing there. You learn from your mistakes. It wasn't a mistake. It was just a little test. Let's see what's happening.
Well, you got to stick your nose in there. And now we see Keegan coming back to the inside.
Easy for you to say.
I know. We have a heck of a time with Keegan Kincaid's name, and Ari working his way back around to the outside and pulling back off the pass for second place.
You look back there in fourth too, Kyle Hart, the number 15, only about 2.5 seconds behind. He's watching all this go. He had a second and a third in Texas. He's fast in a Pro 2. It's been a long time since he's been in that truck, though.
But very impressed with Ari right now. Ari's doing a great job. We've seen him. He's run some other stuff. Keegan with a run up the inside. Ari on the outside, but you have to run the outside on this cushion to keep the tires underneath you.
Little underneath is Kyle Hart, though, and I'm seeing Maxxis across, and we know that's the sponsor of his Pro Light. Maybe they're giving him some love now. Maybe that's why he's driving the 2. As we have on the inside, the Traxxas number 7. He does inside to outside. He might. Oh, Ari's going to have a pretty good drive down this straight. But Keegan makes it count.
I love what Keegan's doing. Watch what he's doing in the big sweeper. He's entering high, exiting low. So we'll see what he does.
Watch the 1.5, the 15 of Kyle Hart. He's in fourth place, but he's worked his way up. I think he was kind of sorting things out at first, and now it's time to push. We will have that comp caution at the halfway point. There's Kyle Hart. He's going underneath these guys just a little bit each time, so he's been making that lower line work somewhat.
He's trying to work around there, but as you can see, it's the shorter way around, but it's not paying off for him. What Keegan did the lap before seemed to be the hot tip, and here we see Kyle looking to the inside, but a very respectful driver. He knows that he would have just had to door him, so he held his brakes and then take another shot at him later.
But I still like how he's doing something different as he gets in the back end a little bit. Ari's slowing down a little more than he was expecting. I like how he's doing something different. Maybe that line might grip up. It might have something there. If he's playing for the leader, he's never going to pass.
Yeah, you got to look. So now he goes to the inside. We're going up to competition yellow this time by.
Next time around,
next time by. I apologize about that.
I start seeing some dust starting to kick up in that turn too, so the track is starting to change halfway through this race.
Exactly, and the track is in great racing shape. There we saw Ari as he came around, the back end caught, threw him into a push. So now the guys are going to have to start looking for more lines, and here we see Kyle being a little bit more aggressive.
He jumps to that inside, sets the truck up in the air. It's also going to set him up pretty straight right here. But does he go outside to in or just try and drive around that whole outside? Well, there's the answer. He's going to drive around all the way in that cushion, but he's got to make this left-hand turn. Is he going to be on the inside? We'll have to find out because CJ Greaves out in front for the first half of this race. We still have 9 more laps to go. Can the Blonde Monster hold on? Kate Osborne, let me go down to you real quick.
Well, I was talking to Keegan Kincaid earlier, and he said that he actually has a bit of a chip on his shoulders. In between the last 2 rounds, he went out testing. He said he made some really great changes, and he is doing all he can to catch up with CJ. Meanwhile, I was also talking to him about the differences of the driving styles between CJ and Keegan, and he said, well, he likes quite a bit of a softer setup, and CJ likes a bit stiffer. He said it's interesting because they both have great mentors, both who are legendary drivers, but they are a bit different and very close in speed.
Thanks, Cade, and you'll definitely be looking for Keegan Kincaid in second place, just behind the blonde Monster Energy truck, and it looks like rain is starting to fall in our picture, so that could change things up as well, Ricky Johnson.
Completely change this track, because now that it's slicked off, we see CJ with a great jump and Keegan right on his bumper. So if they're both run out to the cushion, Keegan just a little bit wider, but now looking to exit a little bit lower, and now he makes a move on the inside of CJ Greaves.
And he sets up perfectly the Cooper tire entry on the inside, Maxxis tires on the out. Both of these guys, they don't bang into each other very often. Look at Kyle Hart. I say that, and here comes Kyle Hart, though.
And also Ari Leindyke looking in the inside. But as I said, you're not just going to drive around CJ Greaves. You're going to have to rough him up a little bit. You don't have to, get dirty and try to break him, but you have to run him aggressive. And Keegan is very good at that. He's run a lot of other racing. He's done the SST races to where you learn how to be very, very aggressive in those Robbie Gordon trucks.
Fastest lap of the race, the 33 back on lap 6, a 41.15. Keegan Kincaid, a 41.43, so 3/10 less as far as the disadvantage, but he's out in front. That's the heck of an advantage.
Exactly, when you're out in front. But right now, CJ being very patient. Both guys, no flats, a little fiberglass hanging off the back of Keegan's truck. But CJ right now pacing him up, looking inside, looking outside. And also, let's not forget Kyle Hart. If these guys get into a race, Kyle is right there.
Kyle is there whether they want him there or not. He's definitely coming. And remember, CJ Greaves has won 8 races in a row, combined Pro 2s and Pro 4s. Yep. He's been almost unstoppable in the Pro 2-wheel driving. Going underneath here, he has won 6 in a row in this class alone.
Yeah, but CJ looked to the inside, tried to run down on the pole, and it didn't work for him. It backfired. He went in right behind Keegan, came out 2 car lengths behind, so he's going to have to run up high and then make the move.
Also here that Brad Lovell might be penalized for hitting Mike Jenkins as well, so find your favorite driver up at the top of the screen. Follow him. Oh, and Kyle Hart gets a taste of tractor tire. And now CJ to the inside. And you say that Keegan has to bump CJ. Now CJ has to do the same thing to Keegan to get by probably.
No, but that's part of this racing, people. It's like watching a UFC fight and expect a guy not to punch some dude in the face. This is part of this racing. It's physical and it's close, and they got to bump and bang. Scott Taylor and I had an argument a long time ago. He says, every time you pass me, do you have to hit me? And I'm like, yes, because you're so fast, I got to get you offline. And so that's what we're going to see CJ come back. Not dirty, it's just part of racing.
All right, who's going to be the fist? Who's going to be the face? We've only got a few laps to go. 5 laps remaining in this Pro 2-wheel drive race. And Kyle Hart back in third in the 15, the Maxxis entry, ready to pounce. I mean, he is closed in as well, too. He might be in the picture whether these guys make a mistake or not.
Very impressive by Kyle Hart. These are the 2 fastest guys in the TORC series when it comes to Pro 2-wheel drive. And right now, Kyle Hart is running with these guys lap for lap. He's back a little bit, but if they bump into each other, he's going to be right there. So here we see CJ now coming up using Keegan's line through the outside, trying to inch his way back up there, because you're not going to make one big shot and catch Keegan Kincaid at this point.
Little bit by little bit, and now it looks like a drifting section. There goes to the inside. CJ, if he gets a good straight drive through this rhythm section, he might do it, and he'll still have to close off. He's starting to turn there. Kyle Hart just had the fastest lap of the race, but trying to drive on the outside is CJ Greaves, the man who's won 8 races in a row. He's on the inside here. Is this where he makes the contact? Yes. Yeah. No. He gives it to him. He is being very nice right now, Ricky.
He's calculated. He's not going to tear up his own vehicle. He's not going to tear up his own front tire, but he is working him left and right, left and right. And when you have a spotter in your ear telling you he's looking on the inside, looking on the outside, it can be very frustrating. But CJ only has 3 laps left to get his work done, and Keegan doesn't seem to be making any mistakes, and he's running his own line. I love this. He's not being protected, Robbie. He's just running his own line right where CJ needs to be.
And his last lap was the fastest of this last lap, so Keegan Kincaid still holding on to the lead, about 2.5 laps left. CJ Greaves in second, Kyle Hart in third, Leindyke and Mike Jenkins your top 5.
There, he took his little shot. You took your eyes off the camera for a second. He put his eyes up in there. So now we got 2 laps to go, and he is right on his bumper. So something good is going to happen. But I love this because it's a tire war. You got Cooper up front. And Keegan gets a little push, and now CJ to the inside.
Look at this. He's going to have a lot of drive, squares it up. And, Keegan's trying to hold that inside line because he knows CJ's going to be there. CJ's got a heck of a drive here. His best drive. Oh, he catches the top of that one again. You got to upset that truck to get it to do something different that it wants to do.
The fact how close these guys are racing, you got to respect this.
There it
Here's
is.
CJ to the inside, but now if it pushes him up, that's going to help Keegan get around the outside to get that drive, and that's what it does. 1 lap to go. White flag is out.
Who wants it more? We knew there would be contact. We know there's going to be a battle between these two guys. They are so evenly matched, and so far getting the better end of it this year. 3 victories from Keegan Kincaid, 7 victories for CJ Greaves in the Pro 2 wheel drives. They've won all the races in Pro 2 this year, and I think the way it looks right now, he might be going number 4 for Keegan, but CJ still has a half a lap to make the pass.
Right, we got a couple more turns, but Keegan very smart and very clean. Great line by Keegan Kincaid, and now he's got 1 more turn to go.
So a sharp left-hand turn. It looks like the streak is over for CJ Greaves. Or are we starting a new streak for Keegan Kincaid, taking the Pro 2 wheel drive victory? Second goes to CJ Greaves. And how about it for the Pro 2 rookie, Kyle Hart, number 15, that AMSOIL Maxxis tire truck in third. Keegan Kincaid is your winner in Pro 2.
TORC, the off-road championship, is brought to you by Cooper Tires. We make tires for people, not just cars. Bad Boy Off-Road and their all-new Stampede 900 4x4 side-by-side. And by AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
The streak for CJ Greaves had to end sometime, and there's the man to break it. The Traxxas number 7, Keegan Kincaid, your winner here in Charlotte. Kate Osborne's with him.
Keegan, you told me earlier today that it was basically win or bust. You need those points for the championship. You also mentioned you think you found something between the last 2 events that had some speed for you. What was it?
Oh, CJ was just dominant, the last couple rounds. I mean, we had something a little bit for him, but not where we wanted to be. So we put our heads down, went and did some testing, and it paid off. This thing ran awesome. I think we found something good. The Cooper tires hooked up great, and I can't thank them enough. Traxxas, Cooper Tire, AMSOIL, Impact, Suits, everybody, Lord for keeping me safe. My family at home, they're not able to be here, but this one's for them. So,
woo! Keegan Kincaid back up on the box in Pro 2.
And he has reason to smile as well, Ricky. I mean, he had a strong race. He had to work his way. He earned that one, and you expected it. You expected a little bump, and he did it. Knocked CJ off the podium, but CJ still with a very strong points.
Yeah, very strong. But CJ, nothing to be ashamed of. He drove a great race. Keegan roughed him up a little bit, got by. CJ was looking inside, looking outside, and it was definitely close enough to take him out. But just drove a great race, and I hope he's proud of his second. I doubt it.
Yeah, we'll find out. CJ Greaves finishes second, and Kate's caught up with him.
Yeah, CJ Greaves, you just ran a really clean race with Keegan, and you guys battled it out, and he just had something a little more than you. What did he have on you today?
He got us right after the restart, but we definitely had a fast truck. I mean, we were trying the top, we were trying the bottom, and we could lose a little time and figure out how to get it back, but he ran an awesome race. I know from here on out it's a points game. With 2 races left, we got an all right points lead, and that's how we need to keep it. So no big mistakes, and that's what we were out here to do, is just keep him honest and give him everything we had, and he came out on top today, but we'll restack, re-rack, do it again tomorrow. But I couldn't do it without all my sponsors: Monster Energy, Toyota, Maxxis Tires, Forest County Potawatomi, Method Race Wheels, Fox Shocks, AMSOIL, Impact, Mastercraft Safety, Don and Ernie. They come out here to build our engines. Hats off to them guys. They put a killer engine in this thing and all of our trucks. So it's definitely going to be a good time, and we're going to do it again tomorrow.
All right, CJ Greaves, second place here in Pro 2.
Second place in 2, but he's leading in points. Still a 22-point advantage. CJ Greaves over Keegan Kincaid. The 44 of Brad Lovell still in third, 52 points behind, and Rodney Van Epperen in fourth, and Ari up there as well. But I mean, this is the CJ Greaves championship to win in Pro 2 and the defending champ.
Well, but it's about winning races, and I've always said, to different guys that you never know who's watching. You got to be fast every time that you're out there on the track. And the guy who was very, very fast out there on the track and very impressive was Kyle Hart. So, Kate, you got Kyle down there.
Yeah, Kyle Hart is extremely tired as he climbed out of that truck. You were just telling me you couldn't actually hear. You can't hear right now. There was something happening with your earbuds. How much of that impacted the race?
Oh, it's always something that you're battling with in my helmet. It's racing 2 trucks. It's a whole different ball game. I have 2 sets of helmets for different tear-offs and everything, and I don't know what happened, but it doesn't fit quite as tight, so I guess it let my earbud come out, and I was fighting my helmet and everything. But that doesn't matter. I mean, to come back from a pro light race as bad as what we had, and to run up here with these guys is great. I couldn't be here without all the help from all my family, my mom and dad. No way I'd be here without them, and Maxxis Tires, AMSOIL, Fiberworks, Fox, and everyone else behind me. Thank you.
Another podium finish for Kyle Hart as he makes his way here in Pro 2.
A new face in Pro 2 in Kyle Hart, but also a new face to off-road in Pro 4. A Le Mans winner? Who is Earl Bamber?
Well, a new face and accent around the pits here at TORC. Earl Bamber is making his debut this weekend here in Charlotte. I say a new accent because you're from New Zealand, you're Kiwi, and this truck stuff is way different than anything that you've been involved in, primarily recently being a factory driver for Porsche.
I mean, this is completely different, and I have to say a huge thank you to Mark, for giving up his truck tonight for me to have a go. It's so incredible to drive one of these trucks. It's a completely new experience for me and something that I've never ever done. So, I'm loving learning something completely new. Running in the dirt, having dirt spray up in your face and everything like this. Normally I've got a windscreen and we come out perfectly clean, and here it's pretty awesome. So I'm loving it.
Your first impression was that it was insane. What were your expectations, literally, as you're suiting up, putting your helmet on, getting in the truck?
I mean, I didn't really have any expectations. I just thought, okay, I'd just try and drive and not roll over or something crazy like that. And, the biggest thing for me is the jumps, because normally we don't have jumps in what we do. I mean, we just try to stay nice and smooth. But here, you have to be pretty aggressive. You have to jump. And one tricky thing in the truck is, you've got this, all four-wheel brake and then just two-wheel brake. So that was also something quite different. I used too much rear in the beginning and not enough of all four, so hopefully tonight I'll have the hang of it. But the first thing they told me is if in doubt, just stay flat out.
There you have it, the newest driver in TORC. His name is Earl, and you will see him in Mark Kwame's Pro 4 this weekend.
I can tell you right now, I can't wait to see the Popcorn Sutton original batch number 5 hit the track for the first time. Earl Bamber in the Pro 4-wheel drive. You know what? We've got that blonde-headed kid, the series points leader, the defending champion that wants another victory, and he's upset about that second place. CJ Greaves, Johnny Greaves, Mike Jenkins, Chad Hort, Scott Douglas, you name them, they're here. White Lightning, Brasho, Bamber, and Larry Pegram. You're going to see them when we return to TORC, the Off-Road Championship, presented by AMSOIL.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, is brought to you by Maxxis Tires. We know dirt. BP Racing Fuels, the official fuel of TORC. And by AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
It's time for the Pro 4-wheel drives, where CJ Greaves is coming off of 4 victories in a row. He's the series points leader, but Mike Jenkins and Ross Hook will lead the field in this one.
Right now, Scott Douglas and also Chad Hort. Scott, a winner back here as well. But these two drivers have been the class of the field all year long, CJ and Johnny Greaves.
Johnny with 3 victories on the season as well. Earl Bamber, a Le Mans winner. I mean, what about the class act we have in Pro 4-wheel drive for the very first time here at Charlotte? Larry Pegram, the guy who's done dirt track motorcycles, World Superbikes, but he's also been in buggies in TORC as well as the Pro 4s, and a podium as well.
And also, that is Mark Jenkins' old truck, who almost won the championship in that vehicle. So very, very fast, very reliable vehicle, and an automatic.
Kent Brasho in there as well. White Lightning, look for him, but it looks like on the outside, Mike Jenkins with a good start on the cushion. We're about to have 3 wide on that back straightaway, though.
Mike Jenkins very strong, but Ross Hook holding his line. Scott Douglas looking on the outside. We see Chad looking down there, trying to work his way through. Everybody being polite at this point. So a lot of times the 4-wheel drives are more aggressive. Johnny Greaves making a move past Chad. Chad got a little bit sideways, but you're able to control it more because you have the all-wheel drive.
And you see the number 7, Scott Douglas, back there in third. There's Mike Jenkins out in front in the 47 tracks its entry. Ross Hook, the number 10 on the outside, and they're kind of hooked up. They're stuck together.
And CJ Greaves, that is not what Scott Douglas wanted, is to let CJ get out towards the front that quick. But Mike Jenkins has been very, very fast. And remember, he also has an automatic with a split brake, so he can rotate a little bit easier than the other guys, where he doesn't have to match his shifts manually like the other guys.
When I was looking at Ross Hook on the ATD transmission truck, I was like, he has been running much faster as of late, but when he gets hooked up like that with Douglas, there's really not much you can do. You just got to try and work the wheel.
Yeah, I've had that. I got into it with Scott Douglas. I think it was here or in Chicago, where we hooked bumpers, ended up taking him off the track, and he thought that I was intentionally trying to drive him, where I was actually hitting the brakes and pulling him around. So sometimes it's not what it appears, but right now, Scott Douglas is back on track and chasing down CJ Greaves.
Chad Hort had a problem in that whoop section the last lap, but he has worked his way back, and he's still out in front of Johnny Greaves. I wonder what's happening with Johnny Greaves, or is he being patient right now?
Well, we haven't seen that. Johnny said in the interview before that he's not into patience. He's into just ramming and jamming and hauling, but he also realizes for him to win, to finish first, you first must finish, so he doesn't want to tear his vehicle up. So Johnny being very patient right now as he looks under Chad Hort.
Had a fuel issue at the last round. You got more, Kate Osborne?
I do. I talked to Johnny earlier, and he says he wants to leave here tied with CJ. He has to beat him in both races, but he did say his strategy is to stay smooth, and he cannot make mistakes. He said jokingly, he says he probably had to back down a notch, and he goes, maybe a half a notch. He goes, actually, screw that. I'm not going to back down any notches, but I am going to work on being patient.
Well, the difference between first and second in points is only 2. So, I mean, he needs to get in front of CJ first. But I'll tell you, Johnny's getting tired of having his son beat him in each and every race. And CJ was talking with me last night, and he said, Dad's going, hey, you're going to have to let me get one of these pretty soon, son. And CJ's like, no, you're going to have to earn it.
Johnny Greaves right there on the inside, makes a move up next to Chad Hort. Now, if he runs up high, he can run up around the outside and then stay up there with Scott Douglas and get around Chad Hort and get a run. As you can see him pushing Scott Douglas, because Johnny's a little bit quicker when it comes to the shifts because he's used to it. Where Scott Douglas, it takes him a little bit more, and I talked to him earlier as we're watching CJ Greaves work on Mike Jenkins. But Scott Douglas was saying that I got to get used to driving this manual transmission and get ready for Crandon.
And this is a situation here where Mike Jenkins is on the inside, CJ on the outside. Jenkins is in a better spot to block, and he does just that. He takes the line, goes middle of the track. The exact same thing you or I probably would have done in that scenario.
Well, Mike Jenkins just has to run his line and not worry about CJ Greaves at this point. Don't worry about blocking. Don't worry about high or low. Just run whatever's faster for you and make CJ work whatever line he needs to. Here we see him up on the cushion with a Pro 4-wheel drive. The guys can run down lower and get more traction coming off.
Cooper tires on the Traxxas entry out in front. The Maxxis tires on that 33 entry of CJ Greaves.
Did you see how Mike Jenkins is able to rotate? Is because he's got an automatic. He can use that turning brake to rotate at the last second, where CJ has to come in with a manual and just drive it around. You see how he's not as loose and as sideways as Jacob, but right now, if he can come around the outside, he can get a run down that back straightaway.
And this is a different setup than we saw with CJ Greaves at the start of the year when he had so many problems.
Right, well, yeah, because I think that they had more of a Crandon setup, but now they've figured out the short tracks. You can watch how hard he hits, but how smooth CJ is. He looks a little bit to the inside, a little to the outside. He's not in a big hurry right now. We're at lap 7 of 18, and so he still has a lot of time to work.
Chad Hort in third, Johnny Greaves in fourth. Scott Douglas is dropping back. I wonder if he's got a cut tire. He's back in 7th now.
Yes, I think something happened with Scott Douglas earlier, but now we see Chad Hort running in third and Johnny Greaves in fourth. Chad running a very respectable race and also very, very fast. So he's also one of those guys with the manual transmission.
Chad Hort's been telling me week after week, he said, man, I think we're good. We're just not on the same level as the Greaves. Right now, Mike Jenkins is on that same level. Mike Jenkins is leading this race. He started out up front, but he's staying out front. How is he able to go so fast?
Well, Mike likes these short tracks. You know, I raced against him back a few years ago when I was racing for the TORC Championship. Mike Jenkins, what I love it is I've joked about it. He takes off the suit and puts on a driving suit, but now he's running his line. I like that he's not blocking CJ. He's running right where he needs to be, and CJ's working the inside, working the outside.
There's Jenkins trying to use that cushion. And still everything. Now this time CJ's going to get a good run to that outside. Does he square it up and try and dive underneath, or does he just run that wide line around the outside?
I would go all the way around the outside like he's doing, look for traction. Now this puts him in a spot for the cushion, and now Jenkins has to run down low, and now where CJ's going to pull away.
That time he's able to close him off, and yeah, that outside line, when you can pull up next to him and you're in the cushion and he's not, but now when you have another left, you've got to clear it by a half a truck.
And now he used the other driver as a pick and was able to get back by Earl Bamber, who
he's got problems.
Well, no, he doesn't have problems. He's trying to figure this out. When you take a guy that's raced for Porsches his whole life, and when it comes to that kind of stuff, and throw him into this wolf den, he is getting beat up a little bit. Still doing a great job. It's all on 4 wheels, but Mike Jenkins has worked his way back into the lead on lap 9.
And the next time around, they'll hit that flagging stand. Little dusty, even with the rain, but we're at the competition caution. Mike Jenkins leads the first half of this race here in Charlotte. CJ Greaves in second, Chad Hort in third, Johnny Greaves in fourth, followed by Pegram. There he is, Mike Jenkins, the Texan, leading here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Pro four-wheel drives. We're halfway through. The big question is, can he hold off that 21-year-old kid right behind him in C.J. Greaves?
But C.J. Greaves has right behind him Chad Horde and his father, Johnny Greaves, that's going to be looking down. And this is not a gimme. He passed him, but then he was able to use another driver as a pick to work his way back up there. So Mike Jenkins' confidence level has to be at an all-time high right now.
His family's here, his wife Kelly, his son little Mikey, and they're seeing Pops out there in front one more time as they cross that flagging stand. He's halfway through winning this race, his first race in 2016.
I like what Mike Jenkins did there on the start. He went to the inside. Now he's kind of running, in my mind, just a hair too protective, but that opens it up for C.J. Greaves, and now C.J.'s got to run going down into the right-hander, but that puts Jenkins on the inside.
Little bumping right there. It looks like Horde getting in on Johnny, number 22. Johnny Greaves back there in fourth with that green light on the inside.
Well, what Johnny doesn't want to happen is what's happening right in front of him. He's dealing with two different trucks. He spins out and he gets hit by a couple different drivers. So he stalls it. Now he has to get it back into neutral. You can see that's just excess gas burning off with that flame.
And what did he say? He wanted to be tied with CJ when he left after these 2 rounds that we have in Charlotte. He's losing a lot of ground right now.
Exactly. Now he has to work his way all the way from the back. So Johnny Greaves, yeah, exactly. And he's back quite a ways. He's all the way back behind everybody. So he's got a lot of work to do. And right now, CJ Greaves, but he's not running away from Mike Jenkins. So let's not forget about Mike Jenkins. He's a past winner. He's been there before. And as you can see, he also has that automatic, which is a little bit easier to drive and a little more forgiving on the slick tracks.
As we look at him, flat lander. And that wasn't on one tire. That was on all 4. It landed hard. Heard the power here. Let's take a look at what happened with Johnny Greaves. He was aggressive. He was in the mix, and then she just came around on him.
He comes in, and we see Chad Horde take a look to the inside. Johnny hits the brakes. Then all of a sudden he hits him. He tries to avoid Chad, then spins out. Then he has nowhere to go, and he's a sitting duck. Because when you slam the brakes on that hard with the manual transmission, you stall the motor. And then it takes a little while, and you'll see the flame boom, and that's where all the excess fuel that was sitting in there comes out, and then Johnny has to start all over again.
All right, now we've got it. Johnny working his way back through the field, trying to get by White Lightning and Brasho.
Brasho looking back to the inside.
And both of them drift wide. And Johnny really, when he made that big bobble, I was talking about the distance, he needed a yellow. He needed a full course yellow. Because you can be in the back is one thing, but to be in the back and that distance is another.
Keep an eye on Johnny Greaves' right rear tire. It looks like it's got a buckle in it. As he comes down into here, watch that right rear tire. It looks like it's buckling a little bit. He could have a tire going down with all the contact. So we will see. Right now, it looks like it's holding up good. Maybe he's just running a little softer air pressure for traction, but we also see behind him Scott Douglas working his way up to Kim Brasho right now.
What happened to Scott Douglas as well? I thought once he had that tire change, or maybe they couldn't get him out quick enough, but once he had that tire change, I thought he'd be up there in that top 3 minutes.
Right now, I'm going to say that right rear tire is helping out Johnny Greaves, but as we see it, let's keep an eye on that. It looks like it's starting to buckle more and more. See how it's going down?
Yeah.
It is starting to go down. So Johnny Greaves looks like he's going to have a right rear flat. More bad luck for Scooter Greaves.
Johnny had 216 points to CJ's 220 coming into this round. But man, Mike Jenkins, I'm impressed with him.
You got to give it to him. Mike is running really, really strong. We talked about, CJ talks about how you got to be in shape. Well, Mike Jenkins is doing a great job.
Do you think it's better because he's been driving the Pro 2? Do you think it's giving him more wheel time?
Well, I think definitely. The more seat time, the better. And that also helps get you in racing shape.
Let's go down to Ken Osborne.
Well, Mike Jenkins was telling me earlier that this track is really hard on that right rear tire, as we've seen through a couple of drivers here tonight. But he did say that he was really excited to get out on his new Cooper tire. They said that they had some new stuff for him this weekend in their team, and he is just really excited. And right now, it looks like those tires are hooking up well for him.
Now, we saw that the fender of Mike Jenkins start to come apart. I hope it's not a tire delaminating. What happens sometimes is you run a tire so hard, see how it's starting to flop the outside? So I think that Mike Jenkins, no.
It could just be the fiberglass letting go, but it's digging into it.
Well, as Kate said, he might have ran a softer compound, and he might have blistered that right rear. So, and Chad Horde goes around, but I think that Mike Jenkins' tire is starting to come apart. I think he ran a soft compound, and it might be delaminating, and that's what's ripping the fender apart.
Putting a little bit too much hurt on that tire. And I asked you that. I couldn't remember if I did it on air before the break. Would he go to the full softs or all the way around with these guys?
Well, you got to go fast, and that's the one thing. To race with these guys, you got to give it all you got. But to finish first, you first must finish. I've said that a bunch of times. And right now, the white flag is out for C.J. Greaves, running a very, very smooth, strong race. But Mike Jenkins, I think his right rear tire is coming apart a little bit, and Chad Hord's going to go give him some.
I still think about Johnny Greaves, who sits back in 5th, going to lose several points, going to lose 8 points to CJ if he stays where he's at. He's trying to close in on Larry Pegram, at least gain 2 more points back.
Yeah, exactly. So every point counts, and we're going into Crandon. We're going to have a lot of the drivers from the West Coast there as well. So you got to make sure that you are get as much done here as you can.
Well, you're talking about getting it done. How about CJ Greaves? He was patient, he stayed behind, but now he's going to take his 5th victory in the row for Pro 4-wheel drive. CJ Greaves, Mike Jenkins, if he had a tire problem, it held on for 2nd. Chad Hord's going to round out that podium in 3rd.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, is brought to you by AMSOIL, devoted to protection. Bad Boy Off-Road and their all-new Stampede 900 4x4 side-by-side. And by Kenda Tires, designed for your journey.
He may not have won the Pro 2-wheel drive, but he dominated in Pro 4. That makes it his 5th race win in a row, his 6th for the season in Pro 4s. Kate?
CJ Greaves, that was a pretty stellar win. We were talking to you about being patient, and yet again, we saw that patience in you. How much of that was your strategy tonight, where you kind of held off there for the first half and really got after it that second half?
Oh, we're never just trying to let them guys walk away. We're always giving it everything we got, but we knew it was going to take a nice clean pass to get around Mike, and I didn't want to make any contact or anything like that. So we just took our time and worked the lines, and we knew we had a little bit more on the exit. He seemed to be a little tight entering, and it would get him wide on the exit. So it was just a matter of setting up the corner perfect and being able to get a run on the bottom, but couldn't do it without all my crew, my family, all you people for coming out here. Monster Energy, Maxxis, Forest County, Potawatomi, Method Race Wheels, Toyota, Don and Ernie, they put a killer engine in this thing, and Mastercraft Safety, Impact, Fox Shocks, everyone that helps us out. My crew guy, Devin, thanks a lot.
CJ Greaves, another win here in Pro 4.
The kid is going to school. And he was pointing to the Brian Clausen, who unfortunately lost his life this past week. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the Clausen family. But the kid is going to school on the racecraft. You heard him talk about it right then.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely doing a great job. And as we said, our thoughts and prayers go out to the Clausen family. That's a devastating loss to the racing community. I mean, a champion from the word go.
Let's go down to Kid Osborne.
Mike Jenkins, another podium finish here in Pro 4 for you. You were telling me earlier that you were really excited, that you think you found some speed here in the last little bit, and you had some tires that you were kind of excited about. However, it looked like you kind of had to work your way through that. How well did you do that?
Well, we were lucky to start out front, and we just ran the truck hard, and everything stayed together real well for us. Cooper brought us some special rubber out this weekend. They keep trying to give us better and better equipment, and it gets better each time. So we ran the cords off of it, and it stayed inflated like the promises that it would, and we just drove it all the way to the finish line. But it's great having our sponsors out here this weekend. We got Robbie Pierce, who run the Royal Purple truck in the SST race right before us. He brings us Impact and Mastercraft Safety. Of course, Traxxas for getting us out here. Got hats off to CJ Greaves. It seems like he's been impossible to beat this year, and he drove a hell of a race, and we just gave it everything we had. But we tweaked on the shocks a little bit. I was telling you back in the pits, things were kicking us all around, and the Foxes are really easy to dial in. We just give them a little tweak, and here we go. So really, you can see the thing's smoking, but nothing's hurt. It's just hot. So AMSOIL protection, baby. We're good. Yeah.
Mike Jenkins finding some consistency here in his Pro 4, another podium finish.
Yeah, you're right, Kate. And he had a chance to win, too, and he said he drove the cords off that thing, but she did stay up long enough to finish second. As we look at the championship points, no movement up top except for now a larger gap between CJ and Johnny, but Chad Hord has now moved up into third after Douglas's misfortune. Douglas drops back to fourth.
Yeah, Scott had a bad break getting a flat tire. As he said, it was a driver error, which, you can't blame a driver for coming in really hard and throwing it sideways and tearing a tire off a bead. That happens. but tough break for Scott Douglas.
Let's go down to Chad Horde, who's now third in points.
Yeah, another guy who is finding some consistency up here on the podium. Chad, you're in third here in Pro 4, and you told me that you just couldn't catch him. It was a good race. You felt good, but you couldn't catch him. What did these two guys, Mike Jenkins and CJ Greaves, have on you?
You know, they just they were running a good race. Johnny Greaves and I had a good race going on, and Johnny spun. I don't know if something broke or what, but you know, I bet you if you look back at the lap times, we were all pretty equal. Nobody was making any mistakes. Towards the end there, Mike had a little problems. I tried to capitalize on it, but he was running strong. But just to be here on the box again for Amsoil, Ponzi Forestry Equipment, Maxxis Tires, and just got a thumbs up to my crew and Hyde Ashton and Aiden if they're watching, and just happy to be here.
All right, Chad Horde, another podium in Pro 4.
And now in third in points, something you know that is a goal for him. What a night we had here, starting off with the Atturo Tire Pro lights, and Kyle Kleiman, he's been on a roll. Can he stay on a roll at our next round here in Charlotte?
Well, Kyle Kleiman was very strong. He was unbelievably fast at Park River, kind of a hometown boy, but came to the short course and was really strong.
Keegan Kincaid wins in the Pro 2-wheel drive, cuts that streak down from CJ Greaves, but CJ comes back in fours. For Ricky Johnson and Kate Osborne, I'm Robbie Floyd. That's it from here in Charlotte. We'll see you next time.